guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Tampa Honda, and I have that one car that for decades has been bringing that fun driving engagement. This is it. This is a 2023 Honda Civic Si, and guess what? I've been able to track down this particular color known as Sonic Gray Pearl. But before we get into this sports injected Civic, let's talk about what's going on here. It all goes back to the 1980s. You know, you look at the CRX. That was such a cool little fun car to drive. Honda came out with an SI version of it. Obviously, SI standing for sports injected would then spill into other models, including the Civic. Now, we are in the 11th generation of the Honda Civic. It goes all the way back to the 1970s. And what I like about the Civic Si and also the Type R is that they take that mundane A to B form of transportation and bring some fun injected sports driving engagement. But what I want to find out is, at this price point in today's car world, is the Civic Si the best bang for your compact car budget? Or should you go with a different brand and a different vehicle? What would one of those be? The Kia Forte GT. Let's go ahead, let's dive into this Sonic Gray Pearl Si and find out. Right off the bat, the shape. I think a lot of people have finally gotten over the 11th gen Civic. I know there was a lot of debate, tongue wrestling. I even saw some mud wrestling going on, but we won't talk about that right now. Dealing with this and how it looks. Now at the front, still looking great, is gonna be the LED headlights. So you're gonna get standard LED headlights on the Si with your daytime running lamps and your turn signals. I think the big bummer and the big zonk is no fog lamps. Now they actually tease you and they say this is where a fog lamp would go, but what they do instead is they put a piece of gloss black there. Now the interesting thing is that if you were to travel from Tampa, where we're at right now, and go directly north to Canada and buy one of these, in the Canadian market, the Honda Civic Si does come with fog lamps. So kind of a bummer that we don't get them here in the United States. Now I am happy that they do use flat black instead of a bunch of gloss black, but let me know how you feel about the fog lamps. Now if you go Kia Forte GT, they do come with fog lamps. So if you're a fog lamp type of connoisseur, maybe the Forte GT might be the automatic box that you check. Now, as you come towards the front, I do, like I said, like the way they have the flat black. You do have that famous SI badge, a lot of history there. Yes, it means yes in Spanish, but it means sports injected on the Honda Civic. Lower portion, I like the way they did this lower grille area, especially with the larger intercooler that you're gonna get with the Si. And of course, they're gonna tune the whole chassis, the suspension, all of that gets brought to a new level. And I do like the way they integrate that front splitter very cleanly. Now, when you get up onto the hood, same exact body lines as your standard Civic. And one thing, remember, with this 11th generation that makes the Civic look a little bit larger, because it is larger, is the amount of frontal space from the A-pillars forward. So they really stretched out the nose to give it a more balanced look front to back. Now, as we come around the bend, and Steven's gonna go way wide around this Sonic Gray Pearl Si, is that we have these great looking flat black wheels. Love the V-spoke design all the way around. If you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel? You are looking at an 18-inch wheel. Now, the bummer is that we have a set of all seasons on here. So that would be another zonk. Yes, for an option, you could get summer tires, but I really think standard, they should come with summer tires. But the wheels, very clean, very straightforward. You can see our enlarged brake rotors. We're looking at almost 13 inches in brake rotor size. And then, like I said, the suspension has been tuned for that sports injected engagement and fun. And then another thing is, remember, on the 11th generation platform, it's a more rigid structure. More adhesives are used, and what does that mean? That's gonna allow you to feel more directly connected to the vehicle. But let me know how you feel about these particular wheels on our Sonic Gray Pearl. I really think it checks the boxes. Now, as we rise on up, you'll notice that as I kind of swing around, you do have gloss black on the mirror caps, and it does have a nice metallic finish to it. I think another thing that I like about the Civic Si is besides the summer tire option, there really isn't anything else except color. You get standard on the Si, your sunroof, and then everything else is gonna be flat black around the window treatment. So just like up front, you got your flat black around the window treatment, color matched on the door handles. I love that lower sill. The way it extends it down definitely gives it a sportier look. Let me know how you feel about the side of the vehicle compared to a Forte GT. I think the Forte GT has a little bit more rounded look to it, and it's shorter. And remember, both of them are compact cars. If you step up to an Accord, that's a midsize. Working our way back, you got a nice sized quarter window. I like the way they bring the trim into that rear fender, and then you have that nice body line that flows very cleanly into the rear taillights. Now, as we come around the bend, what do we got going on? When you go SI, you're gonna have this nice gloss black trunklet spoiler, just enough to where you know that something special is going on here, and this is a functional piece. You got your SI badge looking good. I like the way it pops right off that Sonic Gray Pearl. Now, you do have LED brake lights, but you'll notice, if you look closely, there's Thomas Edison in there flashing that traditional light bulb. So that definitely is a zonk to not have full LED lighting. But as we drop down, you do have one exhaust on each side, nice oval opening / cut, and they're both functional. So that's another nice thing, and I like the way it's balanced. One on one side, one on the other. Other than that, very clean rear bumper area. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk performance between the Civic Si and the Forte GT. All right, guys, we got the hood open now. No matter if you go with the Forte GT or the Civic Si, both of them have a hood prop rod rather than struts that hold up the hood. But underneath the hood is really the meat and potatoes of what the Si is all about. So what do we got? We have that 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 4 that's pumping out 200 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to one transmission and one transmission only. No, it's not an automatic. It's a 6-speed manual transmission. 0 to 60, if you know how to do the dance, 6.0 seconds, which would be 6 seconds. I don't know why I said 6.0. MPGs, 27 in the city, 37 on the highway. That's really where the Civic Si comes out on top. The vehicle weighs 2,937 pounds. If you're comparing it to the Forte GT, the Forte GT has a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine that puts out 201 horsepower. I think the biggest difference between the Forte GT and this Si underneath the hood is that with the Forte GT, you could get a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed DCT. That's a dual clutch transmission that would be automatic. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this up and hear what the Si sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this Honda Civic Si 2023. So we're talking about the second year of this 11 gen. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I really want a fun car to drive. I don't have the funds yet for a Civic Type R. Even an Elantra N is a little bit out of my budget. I'm hoping that the Civic Si is a little bit closer because I've been looking at the Kia Forte GT. I've been looking at the Hyundai Elantra N line. How much is this Si? So MSRP, the way that this one is optioned, is $29,950. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. I like the clean design. What I'm not in love with is the gloss black. So you do get some gloss black, but the good news is you're not going to really be touching it. So you don't have to worry about fingerprints. You have that Honda sized belt buckle of a door handle there to open up the door. Nice shiny aluminum style finish. There is that red textured material that is obviously cloth. That is a Civic Si standout. Not my favorite because it's cloth, but it does separate this from your other Civic vehicles. You do have some red stitching. What I do like is the red anodized style trim. So if you look around the switchgear cover there, first of all, you're gonna get that fingerprint resistant material, and then there's some nice anodized red style trim. Door pocket is a little tight. So maybe just, I would say 2 drumsticks from a bucket of KFC and a nice large Pepsi to wash it down. Now going from the door panel to the dash, this is the first ever Civic Si with a Bose sound system. You do have soft touch material. There's more of that gloss black. Not my favorite, but the good news is you're not really gonna be touching it. What I do like is how they brought that red trim in here, and I am still digging the wire mesh finish, the way it hides everything, and it's real metal, so that kind of gives you a nice quality feel. You get to the center stack, it does have that floating iPad style. I know Steven does not like this style. He prefers the more integrated infotainment system on his FK8 Type R. But this is upgraded to a 9-inch, of course, full touchscreen capability. And what's nice is that unlike Steven's Type R, this one has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And then of course you can move around those icons. I like the way there's an actual volume knob, which is great. And then of course thrown into reverse, it's good, but it could be better, the resolution. That's my one thing on that, but what's nice is you could change the angles very easily. Just when you're looking down, you can see how grainy it is. I don't want it to look like grainy sand. I actually want to see the sand, the separate granules separately. But with that resolution, it's just not happening. But you do have your trajectory, which is great when you're backing up at your local Cars and Coffee event. We do have standard AC controls, and I like the way they got that nice clickety click, click, click feel. They're not dual climate. To change your modes, real simple. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Down below, USB A's and a 12 volt. And you got enough place for 6 Twinkies. Just don't bust any cream on this beautiful interior. There's that anti-fingerprint material. I really dig this. I wish they would have put that up there on the dash as well, but this is where the magic happens. So when you were younger and you went to open up your parents' door and they yelled at you, they were making the magic happen. Guess what? This is where you're gonna be making the magic happen. They revised the throws, nice, short, crisp engagement. Not as good as Steven's Civic Type R, but the great news is it's really, really good. A lot better than the Kia Forte GT's manual transmission. I like the leather. I like the way they got the red on your gear shift pattern. I'm gonna get this out of the way because you do have a drive mode selector. I actually put it in the wrong direction. Drive mode selector switch. And if you look up at that infotainment system, you can see how you have your different modes, sport, normal. The one bummer is they took away the adaptive suspension. So in the previous generation, when you went into sport, it would actually stiffer the suspension. It doesn't do that anymore. So that's a little bit of a zonk. You do get 2 monster cup holders, one big enough for a Yeti can, but that will interfere. You would have to be like this with your Yeti can. That's how you'll have to shift while you're racing Vin Diesel. You do have more of the fabric. I wish it was just a little smoother. I guess the good news is if you got like a nasty callus on your elbow, you could actually grind it off and use it as sandpaper. I guess to each their own. Open it up. You could put, I would say, one of those like microwavable cups of ramen. Put that right in there. You know, you get hungry, you're sitting in traffic. It's good to have a snack. And then the seats, these are good to hold you into place. The same red material as the door panel. I like the SI embroidery. Nice bolstering, full manual assist for the passenger and full manual assist for the driver. Of course, Honda would say they're trying to save weight. And then you do have a standard size sunroof, which is standard on the SI. But why don't you come over to the business end? I got this beautiful leather wrapped steering wheel I want to introduce you to. Come on, guys, business time behind the wheel. What I do like on the SI is that you are going to get aluminum pedals, throttle, brake, and if you're wondering, hey, what is this thing? That's the clutch pedal. That's what makes this car extra fun. You do get a dead pedal. It's just not aluminum, so I am going to have to zonk that. And you do have manual seat controls. They're easy to get to, and they're easy to figure out. It's just it's all manual. Now, one thing that Honda does probably just as good as some of the big, huge performance brands like Porsche, and I know it's gonna sound crazy, is driving arrangement. Like how the driver sits, it's perfect for going through those twisty bits. So let me show you. Steering wheel, that wonderful leather, perfect thickness of the wheel. You got the red stitching all the way around, a little bit of silver, flat black on the buttons. It is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then of course, you have your dash. Now, the zonk is it's not a full digital display. You have a 7-inch display on the left, which is your tachometer. You could go through different things in the center, whether you want to show your turbo gauge, audio, speed, things like that. I'm going to keep it on the boost gauge, and then I'll step on the throttle there. There it is in action for you. So it is cool to have that. The bummer in the zonk is that you have an analog speedometer. I wish it was actually the opposite way. Steven and I both agree on that. And then you see how you go into your different modes, including individual. When you go in sport, that's when you get the little red trim to let you know that you're ready to race. But other than that, nicely arranged on the cockpit of where you'll be sitting as the driver. Why don't we get in the back seat and see how this stacks up to the Forte GT. All right guys, back seat time. And I know a lot of people were griping about the size of the new Civic, but one thing you're gonna give your rear seat passengers is more passenger room than what you're gonna find in a Kia Forte GT or the Hyundai Elantra N-Line. Backs of the seats, if you're sitting behind the driver, you don't have a pocket. So that definitely is a zonk. And if you're wondering, well, the seat looks like it's really far back. This is just where I had it while I was sitting. You could move it closer to the steering wheel, and I would move it closer to the steering wheel if I was actually getting ready to drive. The biggest zonk is this right here. Knock, knock, who's there? A bunch of hard plastic, no connectivity whatsoever, not even a 12 volt. So you can't even go to Target or Walmart or go on Amazon and order yourself a USB adapter for a 12 volt because there's nowhere to put it. So that to me seems a little ridiculous in the model year 2023. I have my full-size pocket here. I could go right over to 7th Avenue in Tampa and get myself some empanadas or maybe a couple Cubans. Cuban sandwiches. But anyways, sitting back here, I like the room. And you just got to work for it a little bit. You do get a super, look at this, super soft, Charmin soft center armrest with 2 cup holders. But you know what? Let's get into the trunk because I want to find out how much sports is injected in this Civic. Guys, time to get into the trunk. Open it up, and that's one of the great things about this 11th generation Civic is you're getting a nice wide opening, low cargo floor, and then of course you have the rear seats that do the 60-40 split, and it's real simple. You're just gonna pull, and then what you would do is you would just reach in here and flop down. I'll come to the other side, and I like the way Honda puts those handles in here. Makes life really simple. Of course, with the passenger seat being a little far forward, there you go. So there's your usable space. And that's the thing that I love about this car is you could go do your autocross event and you could bring all the things that you need into the back of the trunk. But why don't we go ahead, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle and go through the gears of this Honda Civic Si. All right, guys, we left Tampa Honda. We're in this 2023 Sonic Gray Pearl. Love the color. Civic Si. Right away, what you're gonna find with this vehicle is that not only is it very sporty, I mean, being in sport mode, having the very quick steering feel, a little bit heavier steering feel, quicker throttle response. It's great for when you're driving through the twisty bits and stuff, but it's also a great car for doing your daily driving. These seats are so comfortable, but yet they have really, really nice lateral grip. Yes, they're cloth, and if you compare this to a Kia Forte GT, you are gonna have that leather style option in the Kia, but the seats are not as supportive as these are by far. Like I was telling you, Honda really sets up the perfect driving position. Nice short height to the lever, the shift lever really puts it within your palm reach very easily. The dash is super clear. I just wish, like I said, it was full digital, or I'd rather the tachometer be analog and the speedometer be digital. And then I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room up front. Now, I'm gonna take you down some twisty bits, and I think the biggest thing, believe it or not, between this and the Kia Forte GT is that this has a limited slip differential. That is really gonna change the whole personality and how this car grips going through the turns and you don't have to worry about all that torque steer that you find in a front-wheel drive vehicle. But here we go. On throttle from second gear, wind it out, third gear, on the brakes. Nice. Really does a great job. Like I was saying, with getting the power to the ground, that limited slip differential is gonna get the power to the ground so much better than an open diff, than what's in the Kia Forte GT. I guess the big argument that I'm sure some of you will bring up is that the Forte GT is available with that 7-speed DCT, whereas this, you're stuck with the manual. But it's definitely, if you're gonna compare manual to manual, this is the better manual transmission. Plus, it's got automatic rev match downshift from the Type R. Second gear, here we go, on throttle. It pulls nicely all the way to freaking red line. Look at this. I tell you, for under 30 grand, it's gonna be hard to find a vehicle that puts this kind of smile on your face. Now, is it perfect? No. But definitely the way that it drives outhandles, outperforms a Kia Forte GT. It just, you gotta ask yourself, what do you want more? Do you want more amenities, or do you want a better driving car? That's what it comes down to. All right, guys, pulling away from the stop sign, you're gonna love the clutch engagement in this vehicle. There is still a little teeny tiny bit of rev hang, but here's where you go. Have fun on throttle. On the brakes. Look at that grip from the front of this vehicle. So even with the all seasons, you're getting a decent amount of grip, and where it really pays big dividends with this car is the feedback to the wheel. That's what I really, really like, is the amount of feedback that you have. The downshifts, if you don't know how to heel toe downshift yet, or you don't want to, they have it programmed really, really well with the Honda Civic Si. But one more time, we need to go on throttle through the twisty bits. If you're ready, I'm ready. First gear, on throttle, here we go. A little bit of chirping. Chirping tire's a happy tire. On those brakes. Decreasing radius. I'm telling you, the brakes, the way this car is so balanced, it really shows all of the engineering, all the hard work that Honda Performance Development does, and it's brought to this vehicle. Like I'm saying, you don't have to necessarily go Type R if you want that fast, fun driving enjoyment. Is it the fastest 0 to 60? No, of course not. But if you have plenty of twisty bits, especially where you live, that's really where this car comes into play. And then driving on the road, it's really comfortable. And you know what? From the outside, the sound is pretty halfway decent. Remember, they got that new muffler design that's like a cinnamon roll. 2 of them on both sides with the pipe wrapped up like a cinnamon roll to give you a little bit better sound, working that back pressure and everything else. But I'm gonna go ahead, take it out of sport, put it into normal, and that's gonna lighten the steering feel. That's gonna lighten the throttle sensitivity. Still the same suspension setting, but it doesn't beat you up, which is great. I really, really like the way that whether you do sport or comfort, the suspension does not beat you up. I put it back into sport. And then if you want, remember, you do have individual. I guess the other zonk that I have is the sound that gets pumped in through the speakers. It's a little too much. It's a little overly done. I wish that you could hear a little bit more, maybe turbo sound, intake sound, rather than just a that kind of thing. But other than that, this freaking shifter is just a pleasure to work with. And like you saw, the car provides a nice balanced feel front to rear. But then when you're doing your normal driving, it's easy peasy, nice and comfy. You got your Bose sound system. Visibility is great. Really, really a complete package of a car. But I'm gonna go ahead and get back to Tampa Honda and wrap this one up. So I will see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a slick shifting Civic Si kind of day here from Tampa Honda. I definitely want to thank Sam and the rest of the crew getting us their very first 2023 Sonic Gray Pearl Si. Let me know what you think. Has Honda continued that special sauce recipe of getting the most sport compact performance for the price with this Si, or are you going to go the other route, maybe the Kia Forte GT? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. I'll come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rides family. Of course, we got to give it up to the biggest Honda fan, besides Honda Pro Jason, on the planet Earth. That's going to be Stephen Flood, Stephen Flood Photography. Show him some love in that comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing your Honda expertise. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.